This is Jamaica, where my family's from. I love my Caribbean heritage, but I was born and raised in Britain. Both islands are in my blood. So when this happened...
This is a day of national shame.
The Prime Minister insists the Windrush generation will get help.
I didn't see it as a systemic issue.
It left me questioning everything.
Given all that we went through, given all that our parents went through, and their parents, what does that count for?
After World War II, members of my family were among those who rebuilt the mother country.
I wasn't a Jamaican. You are proud to be British.
On the journey, some people lost more than they gained.
Oh my gosh, this is what they're talking about. That's my father.
But the story began long ago.
I suppose I always knew deep down that he was white.
There's a lot more to the story. Our connection to Britain began with the brutality of the transatlantic slave trade. My great-great-grandmother, Helen, was the last person in my family to be born as a slave. When my mum was a little girl in Jamaica, she helped to look after her.
She was 110 when she died, and she was born in slavery. And,
So she was a child.
And she was a child in slavery. I know she told me that she used to pick peas. I used to ask her so many questions like, what did you do? When did you go to school? Well, she didn't really. And to get what she had to offer from her experience in slavery, I thought that was, you can't take that away from anyone, can you?
I have a big, colourful Caribbean family. My father was one of 8 children. This is the house in London where they grew up.
Oh my gosh, it's really tall, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite big.
It's the only time that they all live together.
I shared with one of my sisters.
Which one?
Jean.
You shared with Auntie Jean?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know you shared.
Aunt Jean went to study in Jamaica in the 1960s. When she wanted to return to London, they told her that she had lost her right to live in the UK. You expected her to come back?
Jean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we expected her to come back. We didn't thought it was going to be a problem.
Did you miss
But
her when she went?
Yes, obviously. You know, when she went to apply to come back, they're saying that she can't come back because she hasn't got a British passport.
The separation of Windrush families isn't a new thing. It's been going on for decades.
For all that our parents have done, you know, over their life, living in this country, contributing to this society, it's not fair for her to be there and all her siblings are here and she's not able to be here with us.
Arrivals at Tilbury. The Empire Windrush brings to Britain 500 Jamaicans. Full of hope, they sail for Britain. Citizens of the British Empire coming to the mother country with good intent.
When I watched the coverage of the Windrush scandal, it almost felt like this is not our home. This is just some country that we migrated to. There's a lot more to the story. I feel like that story has to be told. Jamaica has such a strong identity. It's hard to imagine this was once British. First stop on this journey, my dad's family home in Kingston.
So much smaller.
Well,
Because you're younger.
The rag and bone man, you still have those people who go around and collect old things, buy old things from you and sell them.
Evolved.
Yes. That these and the dustman, these guys were wearing ties.
Wow, really?
When I started school around there was probably, I don't think there were 5 black kids, probably less than that. They would call you Blackie, or they would call you Wag.
What, just as you walking on the street or in school?
Well, normally what would happen, you wouldn't encounter it until you get close up. It's not like, say, people hurling abuse at you across the road. It's only when you come in contact
We didn't know what they went through. We didn't know. I guess we didn't talk about it.
It's difficult to hear, but this was part of the Windrush experience.
It's just so cool that everyone can express themselves with their colours on their house. I guess it kind of goes with the sun.
The next day I went to see Jean again. She's the aunt that couldn't come back to the UK.
Oh, that was a trial.
I didn't have a clue where to find. So I took out all my albums. And as I say, I have to show you a passport. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it. You need to take a look at this one. Tell me what it is.
Oh, it's a British passport. It's hard to understand why Jean wasn't allowed to come back into the UK when her dad had a British passport.
It was Thursday that I went in the trunk and pulled it out, expecting to find those blue ones, and then I found this one. Because when people ask me, did he have citizenship? First thing I said, I don't think so. But what does it say? Yeah. It does say he was.
Jean has a great life in Jamaica, but she had a great life in the UK too.
That's at Battersea Park.
In England?
Yes,
oh my God. You used to go there a lot?
Yeah, that was a big outing there. You know, see us all in the same dress. That's him.
Daddy.
Yeah, that's him.
He was tiny.
That's at Daleview Road.
What was he like then?
He was funny. He was funny. He was a sportsman, you know. But he was really good.
So quite school. A cool big brother.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
When Jean was separated from the family, I know my dad took it really hard. So when she decided to get married, he was so excited to be going to her wedding.
I was there waiting, and they couldn't come back. And when they came back, they didn't come back with your father. It was really sad. And it was really a shock. And something that I can never forget, you know.
My dad died unexpectedly soon after he arrived in Jamaica. Jean never got to see him again.
That was the first time that we saw you, wasn't it? Was that the first time we met you?
Because you were smaller in England, yeah, that's the first time you would remember. Yeah.
All of this, the racism, the separation, it's what makes the Windrush scandal so hurtful for families like mine. Why did they make the journey at all? I'm going to see my mum's uncle. He was one of the first people in my family to go to the UK.
You alright?
Yeah.
Do you know the Edmonton cricket ground?
No.
No?
No.
I was the first and only black guy to play cricket at Edmonton, or to become a member of the Edmonton cricket ground. During that 14 years, there was one other guy, so it was only two of us blacks that were there. Britain was in shambles, and if you have 17 countries in the Caribbean who financially are probably worse off because jobs they don't have, so you just come and says there's jobs to be had in England, you know. There's railways to be built, there's underground to be built, and things like that. If the mother nation is in trouble and the country has been broken down.
The mother nation being the UK, because they used to call themselves the mother nation.
Well, they are the mother nation, right.
So there wasn't a concept of being Jamaican, it was a concept of being British.
Right, it is British.
I didn't realise that.
That was a concept. We weren't a nation. Our mother country was England.
I find it odd that back then Britain was seen as the mother country, given the part it played in the transatlantic slave trade. My uncle is taking me to see my great-great-grandmother Helen's grave. She was the child in slavery.
Do you remember her?
If I remember her?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, man.
What was she like?
She went through slavery, you know.
Yeah, I know.
So she couldn't read or write.
Oh, wow.
None of that.
So this is Queen Anne and Helen McGuinness. That's a really Jamaican name.
Slavery was abolished in 1838, started
but then it was
in
still
34,
carrying on,
and it was still carrying on.
I feel proud that she made it through.
Of course.
But I feel like upset as well that she had to go through that.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
It might be upset, but it was a thing.
Yeah.
And it was a thing worldwide.
I almost want to know her. I want to kind of see her and hug her. Just what she achieved. She birthed a family, and here I am now because of her. It's just amazing. I can be who I am and do what I do because she survived and she made it through.
Helen's daughter was called Queen Anne Shattock, and because of Queenie's fair skin, in contrast to her mum Helen's dark complexion, the family have always suspected that Queenie's father was white. For the first time, I feel I'm ready to find out more. It's my last day in Jamaica. I've decided to go to the birth and deaths registry in Spanish Town to see if I can find out more about my mother's great-grandmother Helen and her daughter Queenie.
That really wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't even think I would find Queen or Helen, and like I found so much more, but it's almost like I've got more questions. The more I find, the more I need to ask. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, really.
I'm heading back to the UK. My mum was Queenie's favourite granddaughter, and now I'm going to tell her what I found out about Queenie's dad.
Hello!
Monday!
Sheena! Oh, you're so dark! So you visited Queenie's tomb then?
Yeah.
And Bowen?
Yeah.
Oh.
I said hello from you. What did Helen look like?
From my memory, she was quite dark. She was darker than I was. And with really striking features, really striking black features, which my grandmother, which Queenie didn't have. So, yeah, that's what...
So we knew because of the contrast, there was a possibility that he was white. And that she was mixed race. Queenie was mixed race just because of how she looked. We actually did find Queenie's dad, John Shattock, and this is his death certificate.
Oh.
This John Shattock, who died in Jamaica, was my great-great-grandfather, Queenie's dad. But what I wasn't prepared for was what I found out about his grandfather, who was also called John Shattock.
So John Bellett Shattock Sr. was a merchant during the slave trade, and he owned slaves. So he would travel between Jamaica and the UK, and he was based in Somerset.
So there must be some Shattocks in Somerset?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
My ancestry comes full circle back to the UK.
I knew I have a right to be here. I have as much right to be here as the Shattocks who are in Somerset, basically.
Yeah. The Windrush is not just about politics. It's not just about immigration. Jamaica and the UK are bound together by blood. We are two branches of the same family tree.
It's moving my bag.
Hey, Kirton, where you going? My kids generally feel British and comfortable about saying that.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not a thing for them.
Yeah.
And part of me thinks, well, that's great. Even though I think, well, I need to explain the history so they understand. They need to be aware because the system, the government, can change the rules.
Yeah.
Just like what we've just seen with the Windrush, we still have to be on our guard.
Now, why have you come to England? To seek a job. Now, you're ex-Air Force, aren't you? Yes. Are you going back into the Air Force again?
Yes. I'm trying to help myself and also help my mom.
London is the place for me
London, this lovely city.
I wasn't part of the slave trade. I didn't come over in the Windrush generation. But those journeys, they're in me. They're part of me. And my experience as a black British person, it's always going to come back to that. Just how the two countries are connected. It's not just my history, it's all of our history. And it's a history that we need to talk more about.
Well, believe me, I am speaking broad-mindedly. I am glad to know my mother country. I've been traveling the countries years ago, but this is the place I wanted to know, darling London. This is the place for me.